What is up, guys? Adrian Nickelodeon coming at you from Sydney, Australia, and today we are installing the Crazy Iron Pro Series crash cage. This is the full kit available from Crazy Iron on eBay. I'll chuck their eBay store down in the description below. Right here we have the Engine Guard Cage Pro, which is available separately. The cage comes with two replaceable Delrin sliders. This is the brace that braces the bottom of the cage, and you've got this rod that goes through the bike, through the frame, and braces the cage on both sides. We've also got the sub cage for the Yamaha MT-10. These are the pegs that go on the side of the sub cage. They've also got removable and replaceable Delrin sliders, all of the mounting hardware, and we've also got a set of front pegs. These also have Delrin sliders that are replaceable for the front of the motorcycle forks. So here we have it, guys. Russian made. This stuff is solid as. I don't know anything weak that comes out of Russia, and these cages are no exception to that. The legend has it that they make these cages out of the same steel that they use to make Soviet tanks. These cages are heavy. They are solid as. In Soviet Russia, your bike breaks before these cages do, that's for sure. So guys, these are the Pro Series crash cages. They use stunt technologies in these cages to make sure that the cages are extremely reliable. The cage joins are also reinforced with special couplings to make them stronger in longitudinal and cross-cut impacts. The sliders are also located on the cage in a way that ensures that the dynamic coefficient of force is distributed evenly across all of the attached points to the bike. And Crazy Iron also state on their website that they include all mounting hardware so you can install this cage with ease. Okay, let's get this on the bike. All right, so I'm just gonna stop there with the ratchet. The cage is on pretty solid. What I'm gonna do is just back that off. I'm gonna undo the bolt a little bit and make sure the cage is sloppy. Just from the videos that I've watched online with guys installing cages, it's better to leave it a little bit floppy and then do up all of the bolts at the end after you've got all of the cage's pieces lined up. So there we go, I've got the left side cage on, and let's go and attach the right side. I'm gonna start by taking off these Chinese sliders that we installed in that other episode. What was the video? It was called Installing the Cheapest Motorcycle Protection Money Can Buy. And all of this stuff was from China. We got the sliders, we got the engine sliders. These are actually pretty cool. And we got the rear pickup knobs on the back there. So now this episode, we're installing the toughest motorcycle protection money can buy. And I gotta tell you, man, this Crazy Iron gear that they sent me from Russia, it is tough as nails. And I think I did a little bit of research on Russia before I started filming this video. Just a little bit of historical research into the country and their culture, etc. Russians have always been a very tough race of people. I read that in World War II, the Russians suffered more loss of male soldiers than any other country in the world, and that the country was in effect crippled with all the men that had died in the war, and the ones that had came back from the war were, you know, they weren't in any state to work. So okay, by the way, this comes with the kit, so this must sit in there like that. So yeah, the Russians, after the war, the whole country, they had to work. You know, what were they to do without all the men in the country doing their manly duties? So, you know, a lot of Russians did it tough back then. And from what I understand, a lot of the women and children had to join the workforce to fulfill all of the roles traditionally filled by male workers. I mean, you know, women were doing the traditional male roles in society, and kids were put to work from the age of 6 years old. So I think that a lot of the gusto and bravado and the toughness of the Russian people is ingrained in their, it's ingrained in their culture. You know, if you decided not to work back in the day, I mean, you just wouldn't eat. That's just the way it is. So I think just going off that bit of history, it just really goes to show how tough the Russian people are to overcome adversity. And anyway, we're getting this cage installed, almost there, looking pretty good. So it's pretty simple install. There's one bolt here, one of the engine bolts. There's another bolt down the bottom there that supports the cross brace that goes above the exhaust, and there's another one here that goes through the frame. And that's pretty much the gist of it. 3 bolts on each side. It's pretty easy to install this on the bike. So there it is, guys, the Engine Guard Cage Pro, I think they call it. I'm just calling this the Crazy Iron Crash Cage Pro Series, just for ease of translation. But here it is, that's it. They're installed on the bike. If you only wanted to go that route, I'd provide a literal metric ton of protection on the motorcycle. Way more protection than your Oggy knobs or your crash bungs or your frame sliders would ever protect, would ever give your motorcycle, hands down. So there it is, and it fits really well with that Chinese engine slider that I put on here. I might actually leave that on the bike. So yeah, that's pretty cool. I haven't got the sliders on there yet, so that's what it would look like with the sliders. Nice clean install, and that looks very nice. All right, so we've got the engine guard installed. Now it's time to remove the rear pegs. Ooh, these are on tight. I'm gonna make sure you tap your tool all the way in, make sure it penetrates all the way, otherwise you'll strip the heads off these bolts. Okay, so the rear is going to be a pretty simple install. Just remove the rear pegs and then the sub cage will get installed in its place. So 4 bolts, pretty simple. I don't think you could stuff this up if you tried. So I'm just using some anti-seize lubricant on these bolts. You don't have to, I just have this lying around in the garage, so I'm using it for this project. Really, it only needs to be on the end. Don't need to put it on the whole bolt. All right, moment of truth. I was worried that Crazy Iron had sent me all of this, and that like I'd build it all up and then I'd go to install it and they'd sent me the wrong parts. But I think this should fit. This is for the Yamaha MT10, like a glove. So I'm just going to thread a bolt through on this side. All right, just loosely install that side. Head around the other side and just loosely install one more bolt. There we go, just loosely installed, and then we can angle the sub cage and get that last bolt lined up. And that's what it will look like. Wowee. Okay, so that's it. The engine guard is installed. We've got the sub cage installed. We just need to add the pegs. A bushfire just started 2 kilometers away from my house as well, by the way. That's the fire brigade going past. And also, it's like one of the hottest days of the year and my air conditioner just stopped working. Anyway, let's get on with the build. So we've got these are the front pegs, these are the rear pegs. And as you can see, they've got the same Delrin sliders that the crash cage has on the end here. And there's a little grub screw right here that you can take off to remove the slider. And then we'll have access to this bolt from the top. And we should be able to install it just like this. So as you can see, this is a very easy install. I need to say something about these aluminium foot pegs. These are, I mean, look at my hands, right? Just grab this really tight. Look, these foot pegs are so sharp. Your feet will never slip off this. This is like, oh, it's unbelievable how sharp these things are. So the last thing we have to do is put the sliders on the front forks, and then we have finished the install of the Crazy Iron Crash Cage on the Yamaha MT10. So guys, we're almost done. I just need to install the sliders on the engine guard. I've just realized something that's pretty important. I've done all of this. I've installed the entire cage without looking at the instructions once. So let's have a quick look at the Crazy Iron Crash Cage instructions. It's all in Russian. It is illustrated though, so it shouldn't be too hard to work. Like, this is pretty easy. It shouldn't be too hard to work it out. I mean, I did it without even using the instructions. Okay, so anyway, I'll get these sliders installed and we'll go and get some nice shots of the bike. So thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this build series, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content like this. This is the brand new Yamaha MT10. We're going to be doing a whole bunch of videos on this bike. I want to thank Crazy Iron so much for sending me out a crash cage for the new bike. This thing looks bloody amazing. If you want to find a crash cage for your bike, I'll link their eBay down in the description below. They're one of the only cage sellers that I've seen that lists on eBay. They've got something like 200 or 300 listings, so they've got a ton of bikes on there. Head down there, check out that link, try and find your motorcycle and check out the cages for yourself. These things are solid AF. All of my fear of dropping the bike has completely disappeared now. Thanks again, Crazy Iron. See you guys in the next video.